Good morning. The BRICS countries are now aggressively moving away from using US dollars that are in Western banks to trade with each other. They're moving toward using US dollars in their own banks to trade with each other. This is an important distinction, and the implications are profound. They figured out how to use a stablecoin called Tether to do large volumes of business for trade between Russia and China. Bloomberg has the story that two of Russia's biggest suppliers of metals are using Tether's stablecoin to do business with their Chinese customers. Russian companies have a lot of problems, even the ones that are not sanctioned, in paying and receiving funds. This is true even in business dealings with China, because banks here are worried about US sanctions on Chinese banks that process the trades. With stablecoin payments, most of those concerns go away. Transfers just take seconds instead of overnight, and overnight means that Western banking regulators can lock up the money. It's also free, basically, to do business this way, just a few cents. I bolded this part. Tether's USDT is pegged to the US dollar, which makes it very attractive to exporters. When companies use Tether to buy and sell, the trade is being settled in dollars, in USD. Here's a summary of Tether. It's pegged by the US dollar, which means the value of the USDT fluctuates with the dollar, which is fairly stable. This is preferable to Bitcoin or Ethereum, which can have big market swings, even intraday. That's important because you don't want to be negotiating for a big shipment of Russian nickel, for example, and the medium of exchange is swinging back and forth on you. Tether does issue other tokens that are pegged to the euro, the offshore renminbi, gold, but it's almost all done in US dollars. The reserves for Tether are reported here. 100 billion, just under, as of March. 76% of that was in US Treasury bills. Less than 4% of Tether's assets are in precious metals, like gold. The process for using Tether is right here. First, a buyer deposits a fiat currency into Tether's bank account, then gives Tether instructions on where the money is going to go to. It takes minutes instead of days, costs pennies instead of a percentage of the total trade, and it's anonymous to anyone outside looking in. But step one, you need to put fiat currencies, like the US dollar, into the bank account in Hong Kong. There are a lot of experts whom I generally respect who get this part of de-dollarization completely wrong. They know that countries want to move away from the US dollars to do all their trading, and so they'll be using gold to do it instead. Both of those views are wrong. The BRICS countries run big surpluses in dollars. They want to use dollars to trade because they earn so many of them. What they are moving away from are dollars and euro in Western banks to do the trades. Tether is in Hong Kong. These dollars and treasury bills are also in Hong Kong. Buyers and sellers can use Tether, use USD, which they've got plenty of, and it's completely outside our system. They're not using gold, and they won't be. There may be lots of reasons for gold and silver to move higher, but using gold for trade just isn't one of them. They love dollars, and dollars makes everything easy if they have them. What they cannot have is their dollar reserves frozen or seized. Tether is the perfect alternative. It's fast and it's safe. The alternative is transactions that are slower, more expensive, and the risk of having funds and accounts that can be seized. So stable coins like Tether are becoming very popular now for countries that don't have a lot of dollars or don't want their USD leaving the country, and especially who don't want to have their transactions seen or put at risk in our banking system. Venezuela here is doing a lot of business with Tether, done through intermediaries in Dubai. Dubai is part of BRICS too. We have two major financial hubs here now, Hong Kong and Dubai, who are processing billion-dollar trades outside the SWIFT system and using US dollars, which are also outside our banking systems now. They are using crypto for payments and using small and regional banks as intermediaries. The group of 7 countries in the EU are trying to go after those too, but it's hard to see how they can actually do it. We crossed a Rubicon, a red line, when we began sanctions, and especially when our banking regulators in the US and in the EU started freezing bank accounts. It was always understood that foreign companies doing business through our banks, they were trading privacy and secrecy for convenience. We could see everything that was happening. We could watch the funds move, see where the money was going, from whom to whom, and we often didn't like it, but at least it gave us clarity and insight about what was going on in markets and in pricing, and who the new suppliers are and new buyers are across the world. That was the trade-off on our side. There were people using our banking systems doing things that we didn't approve of, but at least we could see it. That all stopped in 2022. As soon as we went from seeing to seizing, the rest of the world had no choice but to find alternatives to our banks and to do so immediately. Get their dollars out of our banks and get busy working on how to trade in rubles and in renminbi and in gold and on swap lines, yes, but mainly in dollars and in euro, because that's what keeps coming into their economies. They produce and we buy. It's the BRICS countries that pump the oil, that dig the metals out of the ground, that do the refining, that grow the food, operate the factories. They produce when we consume and we pay with euros and with dollars. But now, those dollars and euro are sitting in banks in Hong Kong and Dubai instead of in New York and London. Now it's the BRICS banks there that can lend their USD reserves and create loans, create new assets and new economic activity. It's the BRICS banks that can fund settlements for tankers of crude oil and shiploads of nickel and harvests of wheat, container ships full of cars and electronics and semiconductors and drones and artillery shells and missiles. And now we can't see any of it. They have built a system. It's here, it's in operation right now. And they're using our currencies to buy and sell, but now we can't even see it, let alone do anything to stop it. It took just a few months back in 2022 for a handful of people to completely destroy global confidence in our banking and financial systems. That's impressive. And it's taken just a couple of years for a handful of people to build an entirely new system, using our own money to do it. And that's impressive too. This is Hong Kong. Be good.
Father, thank you for this precious brother who has come. Thank you for making him a man of integrity and honor and wisdom. Thank you for making him a brother. Empower him. Fill him with your Holy Spirit.